Hey guys, Sublord here, back again with another action figure review. Today we'll be taking a look at the DC Multiverse Infinite Frontier Scarecrow, Dr. Jonathan Crane. I don't know why I have recently come up with that voice for the Scarecrow, but if they ever do some goofy-ass Batman cartoon, sign me up! That said, this course is brought to us by the fine folks over at McFarlane Toys, as well as Big and Bad Toy Store, where you can, I think, still pick this guy up on clearance for about 13 bucks. That's a steal, because this figure, it's just fun, man. It's different. It's something different. Different is good, people. It's not bad. That said, I'm gonna go out and say that this is definitely not something you should be expecting from the fine folks over at Mattel when they get the DC license. I feel like, if anything, they're going to stick to more traditional looking iterations of the DC Universe characters, which maybe they'll give us a more classic looking Scarecrow if McFarlane doesn't. But yeah, I wouldn't be expecting this crazy Elseworld stuff from them. But you know, crazier things have happened. They did give us a Gotham by Gaslight Batman towards the end. Granted, it wasn't very good, but they still gave us one. That said, why don't we cut right to the chase and get into the meat and taters of this review and take a look-see at all the Scarecrow has to offer in terms of accessories, starting off with his collectible trading card. Pretty cool artwork on there. Generic Scarecrow bio on the back. There is no explanation as to why he has this very bad Raiden from Mortal Kombat cosplay. So I'm a little perplexed as to what's going on there. But at any rate, other than that, he does come with a hockey puck display stand we're seeing with all McFarlane Toys releases, and a butt ton of plastic robes. These don't come off, but they are there. And they do weigh him down quite a bit. You actually got to bend his knees like twice to get him to stand properly, but once you do it, he stands okay. He's a little weeb wobbly, but nothing crazy. But just look at the crazy... He's got like a gas mask. He's got the long hair hanging out the back. That kind of reminds me of the new Batman Adventures, because that one had the long hair hanging down. He has the very geisha-inspired straw hat with his little bun on the top. He's got these wires going into his arm here that kind of... Well, not kind of. They go up into his head. Kind of connect a couple of spots. They go up into his head. He's got another couple wires going into his mask. No, they're just loose strands of hair. But he does have some wires going into his mask. He's got a wire hanging down here. He's got some wires over on this arm. I'll bring this arm up. You can see the wires on his hands there. But as far as his articulation goes, his head will rotate side to side and tilt up and down a little bit. Nothing crazy. Does have a little bit of tilt too. His shoulders will pop out to the side about probably 90, I had to guess. Looks like he's got the more traditional Scarecrow costume under this. I don't know if they'd ever reuse parts from this guy for anything, but almost looks like they could swap a couple pieces out, have a more traditional looking Scarecrow. Be fun to see what they did with that, but you can pop the arm up all the way. He does have the butterfly kind of sort of, but it's very limited. You can rotate the arm up and down, of course. He's got a bicep twist. He's got a double elbow, but mind this tuber here. You don't want to pinch it in there. But you can bend the arm about this far. Yeah, you can bend the arm up all the way without worrying about the tubers. So that's cool. They're very flexible too. It's just you don't want to pop them out or tear them or anything. You want to be careful. And then the wrists will hinge in and out. They are on the ball hinges, so they will rotate a couple places. If you want this hand to do kind of the come get some or amends for the poor, it is I, the Scarecrow, amends for the poor. What you're going to want to do is turn this hand this way. And then back around like so. Because this tube will not get caught on anything. And that way you can have him do his best, worst Oliver Twist impersonation, be all, amends for the poor, I decided a Scarecrow, and I'm wearing a bunch of sucky rags. What's going on? I don't know what's going on in this video anymore. Either way, you know what I mean. You want to be careful with that, because these tubers are at a bit of a weird angle. You don't want to tear them. But if you go about it that way, you should be alright. You know, I just did it, so it works. That said, he does have, I think, a waist joint, if anything, but actually it kind of just feels like he's got a mid-torso joint. Yeah, right there. He's got a diaphragm joint that does have a little bit of play, but not a ton because all this plastic. That said, his hips will kick out. And the legs I could see them using. Again, swapping the shoes out maybe. Pop them back down. They will rotate back and forth. He does have a little bit of thigh cut. Double knee. It does work pretty well. But again, it's hindered because of all the stuff going on. And then he's got ball hinged ankles that will rotate, hinge, and pivot. Very tight down there. And decent enough toe joints on both sides. But that is Dr. Jonathan Crane the Scarecrow in a nutshell from this Infinite Frontier subline. Very cool figure. I like this guy way more than I thought I would. I was like, oh, I'll get it because it's Scarecrow. You know, he's one of my favorite Batman rogues. I freaking love this thing. This thing is cool. It's different. Different is good sometimes. That said, I want a more traditional looking one, like a Silver Age maybe, or a, I don't know, maybe some from the 90s, like a Nightfall era one, or a Hush one, something like that. Would be kind of nice. Just because, you know, Scarecrow don't get a lot of figures. I think in this DC Multiverse line, he's gotten 3, so that's more than, I think that's more than Mattel gave him in like 20 years. Right? And I'm not counting the 3-inch stuff. I'm just counting the 6 to 7-inch. We got the Scarecrow in DC Superheroes, and then we got the Yellow Lantern one in DC Classics. And then McFarlane gave us this one, the Arkham Knight, was it, version, and the Last Night on Earth version. Said it'd be nice to see them tackle Arkham Asylum, because that old one's probably expensive and fragile. So it'd be nice to have one that wouldn't, you know. So with that being said, it is time now that we move right along and take a look at some size comparisons. First up, here is our Infinite Frontier Scarecrow doing his best at his worst, Raiden from Mortal Kombat cosplay, alongside a couple other characters from the old Infinite Frontier storyline. We have Mr. J, missing an eye, still wondering how that happened. And good old Damian Wayne, aka Robin, the boy wonder, or in this case, the boy little bastard, because, well, let's face it, that's exactly what Damian Wayne is. So, there you go. Scarecrow is kind of sort of the monkey in the middle. Granted, I don't have his legs fully straightened out because, as I mentioned earlier, I think he is kind of meant to be hunched a little bit. It does help him stand, that's for sure, because he's very top-heavy with all those hard plastic robes. Again, it would have been nice to see what this guy would have looked like with some soft goods, but at the end of the day, we got what we got, and honestly, I kind of prefer the sculpted, painted cloth stuff on this figure. I think it helps add to the look. So, getting these two out of here. So we can bring in our 2 regulars, the Mythic Legion's Brother Mandibilith. And the infamous K11 Spawn, who, as usual, we don't count Scarecrow's little man bun on his hat there. Again, I'm not sure as to what that is exactly, but if we don't count that, good old Al Simmons is taller than everyone. Not towering, but taller, probably because he's, well, straightened out, and the Scarecrow isn't. Again, kind of helps him balance there. So, with that being said, it is time now that we wrap things up with some final thoughts. overall, and aside from the lack of paint, we'll say, I have to be honest in saying that good old Scarecrow from Infinite Frontier here is ultimately a guilty pleasure of mine. This is one of my favorite DC Multiverse figures from the fine folks over at McFarlane Toys that doesn't follow the norm of what we typically imagine a character looking like. And since Scarecrow is doing his worst job at a Raiden from Mortal Kombat cosplay, I think that qualifies. Either way, this is a very fun interpretation of one of my, if not my favorite Batman rogue of all time, and I am all here for it. That said, once again, mind the tubers. You don't want to snap them things off. They're not brittle or anything, but if you turn something too far, you could risk tearing them out. So, with that being said, if you guys enjoyed this review, until next time, catch you guys later.